much, Rick.
Oh, nah.
All right, let's see. Should we start on time or can I go?
Well, you got 3 minutes.
I got 3 minutes. Okay. I'll allow it. I was just a truck driver.
It's basically a technical shower thing.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to put it on station and you can lift it up. Yeah. So maybe
so I spent a lot of
I can
time.
get one of these. This is
So I was just I drove up
Yes.
You got hit right in the
Face. Yeah.
I rebuilt.
Really like that.
I just wanted you to know,
I had the biggest.
the girl does
let's see, this what time they stopped it.
she was showing, I mean, she didn't show you the damn thing. She was just showing how she was doing it.
And she was trying to watch what I was doing. So I used to give my tutorial on how would I, how I can go to the engine. Yeah, so it's very good. Wow.
Explain.
We don't, I'm going to do that. This is the last one. Okay. Okay. And once in a while you find one where they see it. So I stick around. I went into the last business I was.
So you're on your second day already.
Yeah, I had a little 10 by 18.
You keep moving.
Yeah. Right now it's.
Good evening, everyone. We have a nice week. Hope nobody's too sick around here except for. He's getting over pneumonia. I'm
Yeah,
getting
they say it
over.
goes in a circle.
I'm getting over something also. Didn't stop me from going swimming though. All right, so we're gonna start with the treasurer's report. We have checking $1,332.12. And our CD, we have $5,278.27. We're rich. Okay, and we're gonna talk about, Charlie, talk
Yeah.
about John.
Oh, yes. One of our wood turners, John Shakaroff, passed away about a month ago. He had an aneurysm, died in his sleep. So it wasn't anything, it was quick. And, he was a member here for years. Tremendous guy, tremendous wood turner. He taught me, he mentored me. And, I didn't know nothing about wood turning. I showed up here and he just took me under his wing and just showed me the ropes. And I could never repay the man for all the things he'd done for me. So I got a card here, and if you guys would sign it, I'd appreciate it. And I'll put a little book on the bottom there when I send it to his wife Betty. And she's not doing well either. She's not, she can't drive, she can't, but his daughter and son-in-law live there. So she's got somebody to take care of her.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
We'll have it out,
Okay,
we'll have it out at the break.
We have the empty bowls, if anybody is donating.
Yeah, I've got some.
Okay, so they are, just make sure that Ross knows,
Yeah.
Ross, if you
Yeah,
could just,
if you have any bowls, I'll take them to the food pantry tomorrow. So you need to fill out a piece of paper. I got some with me if you don't have it.
and there's some more on the shelf over there too.
Okay, great.
Sorry, I couldn't bring anything. My cellar is being redone.
Okay.
Okay, any new business? I don't think
I
so.
just want to back up a second. Are they, they're gonna say all these wood bowls are from Ocean Wood Turners?
If
Is
you
that,
got
is
some
that,
brochure or something I could bring? I'll talk to the woman tomorrow and ask her if she could do that.
yeah, I mean, I didn't know if it was gonna be like, when I filled out the form, it said name, address, all that, but it did say business, so I put Ocean Wood Turners
perfect.
as a business.
Yeah.
Maybe if everybody did the same
Did the
thing,
same thing.
at least, that, all of them be donated as Ocean Wood Turners,
Yeah.
not Rick and John and Paul and Ray and,
Great
Yeah.
idea. Yeah. Yeah. Do we have any brochure? We could leave a brochure on the table or anything. Nothing? No. All right.
not really.
Okay.
That'd be-
Yeah, I called the food bank, they'll take things other than bowls. If there's not gonna be a bowl.
Yeah. You'll do almost anything.
Yeah, and you can bring it in as late as the end of March.
So to the end of March.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there wasn't enough time to wait for the next meeting, that's why we did it.
Before next,
It would have been before the next meeting,
Yeah.
that's why we did it.
Actually, the event.
I think it was like the
This one
first week of
out
March
back
they
The
wanted it.
event is in March. Wait a minute, I can tell you the date. We bought tickets already. It's March 31st.
that's the event.
That's the event.
I'll be in Ireland.
So it's potentially possible that if somebody brought a bowl into our next meeting, it could go in, or do you want them to? deliver
Really
directly
be,
to
that'd
the-
really be pushing it.
It's pushing it a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you have one, you can always bring it to the food bank yourself and fill it.
Down the street.
Yeah,
If I'm
right down the
at-
street. Yeah.
I skipped over one of the most important things. Do we have any new guests here?
Ah,
Would you like to stand, or you can sit and tell me who you are and if you've done training before?
My name is George.
Where are you from?
Rhode Island. And just learning how to turn wood with my friend here, Matt Finkner.
What was your first name, sorry?
George.
George?
Yeah.
Have you turned anything yet?
Just one thing.
Well, that's okay. Got stuff somewhere.
George, what was your last name?
Richardson.
All right, can spell that.
RICHARDSON.
Okay.
Perfect.
And too bad you didn't bring it, because we all like it.
I did bring some.
Did you bring
These are, so I'm working at a glass shop, as a glass blower. And I wanted to learn how to make these tools.
Okay.
So there is somebody here that made this. I'll let him talk about it.
Roland, of course,
Yeah,
right?
Roland.
Roland made this
Yeah.
for us. So,
How is Roland?
He's supposed to be here tonight.
yeah, he's doing fairly decent.
He was supposed to be here tonight, and maybe he's online, I'm not sure how to do that.
Every day is getting better.
I talked to him this morning, he said, yeah, I'm gonna make the trip, I was like, okay.
I've been turning now less than 3 years. Mostly pens. A few like candle holders, 3 pots, some bowls, cats, a variety of spindle type, right? Tuck it.
Okay, well,
Okay, now we're just gonna show and tell, and, because I'm not really gonna talk about my trip.
Jane,
No, Pete,
as the treasurer, I want to remind everybody that dues were due in January. So if you haven't paid your dues, it's $35 for this and $70 if you're gonna join both clubs. Make the checks out to Ocean Terminals.
get your finger up, no, okay.
I got one thing.
You get your finger up, you can talk.
Yeah, so, some of you know I'm a member of another club, Central New England Returners, and they're having an open shop day, and they're gonna have, demos. They're gonna have 6 layers set up. There's gonna be, tools there, people selling used tools and things like that there.
Oh.
There's gonna be food, and it's kind of a nice thing. It is a little bit of a drive.
Where is it?
It's in Berlin, Mass. It's from my house in Fosterish. It's about an hour.
Good, you're driving, I'm coming, you're coming.
You can come, you're welcome. I'll do a demo. So if you're interested, I have some of the information
What's the
about it.
date on that? When's the date?
It's March 15th.
Okay.
No,
22nd,
no, he put the wrong date on this. Anyway,
March 22nd.
22nd. So if you're interested in this food,
Free food.
free food, free food.
Price is right.
So the price is right.
I'm
So
it's
if
just
you-
before my vacation, so I get to go do something. Well, not vacay.
So I have some, I'll leave them up there if you're interested.
That also says 25. So those
I
are.
think this is the last year.
Yeah.
Oh, God. You can send me the wrong one.
Also.
Okay. I'll fix it. Yeah. So I'll get the right one. I'll get it.
But the date is, leave me one, I'll put it in the
Yeah,
newsletter as well.
it's the 22nd.
Yeah.
And it's 12 to 4.
I'll add it to the newsletter.
And we did, I don't know if you've ever heard of Goose Bay Lumber in New Hampshire. We met up with them at a turning event in Massachusetts, and they brought a ton of wood down. They were selling really cheap, really, really cheap. And so I reached out to the president of that club and said, "You want me to call and see if they'll come?" Because the fellow who was there said, "Yeah, I'll come. I'll bring a lot of wood." So there may be wood for sale there too. I got some big hunks of walnut, and he had tons of burls. He was selling them for $5, real cheap.
That is
Nice
cheap.
big hunks.
That is cheap.
So
Considering what they auction them on, online for.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that guy auction anything off lately.
so
Okay, so now we're gonna have show and tell, and then we'll have a break, and then Rick's gonna take over. Whoever wants to go first.
When you're doing the show and tell, keep in mind that the people on Facebook are looking at this camera.
This is a piece of cherry that somebody gave me about 8 or 10 years ago. And rather weird shape, actually. It, when I was turning it, I wanted to get it down to about 1/4 of an inch, and as I did, the box started to fall off. So instead of trying to glue it back, I said, "The hell with it," took all the box off. And this thing was so hard. Cherry, my experience with cherry is always relatively soft to turn, even well-aged, but this thing was just like a rock. And another little cherry bowl that I was turning, I was gonna give it for the soup deal, except there's some holes in the side of it, so that won't work out too well for holding soup. But again, 1/4 inch thick, 3/16 inch thick.
That makes it a potato chip bowl.
Yeah, this is one that I'm donating to the food bank. This one, that's cherry. There's this one, this is Old Pearl, and then this is Jara. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it correctly. It was a nice wood to turn, reasonably hard, but it turned pretty nicely. And then this is,
That's not a soup ball either.
no. No. My wife, when I turn a bowl, if it has any void in it, she says, that's not a bowl. You can't put anything in it, it's gonna leak out. Well, artistic expression. So that's my,
It has a hole that large, that makes it a fruit bowl.
yeah.
But not grapes. Not grapes.
Not grapes.
So I also brought in one for the food bank. This is a 8-inch olive ash. It will hold liquid. It has no holes. It's got the Emmett's finished good stuff. Yeah, so, no, I'm sorry, this is actually, was it Emmett's? What's the other one? Emmett's. Odie's. No, I'm sorry, you're right, it's Emmett's.
Okay.
The one before that was Odie's, right, the good stuff. 3 or 4 coats, still trying to get that luster out of it, and I just can't seem to get it to pop. I don't know where the answer is. I think I'm sanding plenty. I think this may be 3 coats.
And the wood is?
It's a olive ash.
Oh, right.
Very beautiful. I landed a bunch of this a couple of years ago, surprisingly, not knowing what it was. And so it's typically an ash tree, but this olive is what something happens to the tree, which gives it this olive color, which makes it picks up the name olive ash, whether it is or isn't. My mentor Roland said it is, and I believe everything Roland says. It is. And the form is filled out.
The luster from back here,
Yeah, just,
not enough for you.
yeah, I've seen a bunch of bowls that a bunch of yous have made with that type of finish. And it just seems to me that it's not the same. My opinion.
Okay.
But you know, I'm always, you're always your own worst critic. So maybe it isn't as bad as I think it is, but.
This is my bowl for the donation. It is oak. Not as thin as I would like it to be, but it's a bowl. It's got a nice flat bottom. Thank goodness for orbital sanders. But my donation for the bowl. Oh, yes.
Just out of curiosity, is it, I mean, Pete, talking about whether a wood bowl will hold liquid kind of confuses me. I would think that would not be something you'd want to do.
Oh, yeah, why not?
People use them all the time.
Why not?
All right.
Cereal bowls, cereal
Yeah.
bowls.
The only tricky part of the equation is hot liquid, like hot soup or hot spaghetti. Because the
Okay.
heat now it won't affect the bowl, but it certainly will affect the finish.
Hmm.
You know, that Emmett's is a oily wax.
Yeah.
So if you heat it up, obviously, most people, I think, don't put hot soup in a wooden bowl.
Well, you could use this for a wine bowl, but you'd have to drink really fast.
That's true.
It's okay. So I turned this yesterday, had a piece of cherry burl, and so I thought, I haven't been turning it lately, so I decided to do a little bowl, box kind of thing, hollow form, finial. The dark wood is rosewood, and I picked that up from that guy from New Hampshire, East Bay. And they have some pretty nice exotic. Because I did this yesterday, I wanted to finish it quick. I would have used the good stuff, but I didn't. So I used lacquer, this little lacquer spray on this, so it dries real quick. And sprayed it this afternoon.
So what is that, an insert on it? Did you insert the
the rosewood.
Is that all rosewood and you just
You don't want
did two different colors?
It's not-
Yeah, this is not glued on. Yeah,
Oh,
it's all glued on and then tried.
What kind of glue?
I use just plain wood glue,
Okay.
type bond. Yeah, that's all I use. Except for this was glued with 5-minute epoxy because I was in a rush to get it done today. So this was glued today and then turned again. So. Cute little thing.
So turning, that burl wood, that's fairly dry, like, you're not gonna have movement out of
Yeah,
it,
that
or
was
the
dry.
rosewood that's gonna hold that?
Yeah, that was pretty dry.
It was pretty dry.
Yeah, yeah.
Funny when you say turn it one day and it's,
It's-
is it all right tomorrow?
It's been sitting in my shop for probably many years.
Yeah.
And what am I gonna do with this? What am I gonna do with it? Finally, I
Yeah.
said, I better turn something.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I turned this bowl about a month ago, a piece of, a flaming, boxwood.
Box elder, yep.
Box elder.
Box elder. Flaming, I thought that was interesting. What was really meant by that? But, it's the first one I turned with green wood. And, it's warped a bit. Or, distorted a bit, but it's really, has a nice, it's really beautiful.
Character.
I didn't put a tendon on, I put a most, I shouldn't have done that, but anyway, that's what I did. So I was kind of looking for maybe some ideas of where to go next with it, Anybody have any ideas for
Oh, you should be ready to just hand sand and finish now, and,
I'll put if I kind of laid it all and,
it's impossible.
Yeah, you're gonna have.
Not at this stage of the game.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, if you put it back on the lathe, it's gonna run like this.
okay.
So if you sand or anything like that, you gotta sand on, sand off, sand on, sand off. It's really at this stage, like either hand sand or with a drill.
Yeah.
In your lap, so to speak.
Yeah.
Well, you can leave it on the lathe if you hand turn.
Right,
The lathe.
right. Right, that's what you can't turn the lathe on and power sand is what I meant.
Kind of finished with this.
All the finishes work good with that. I would start, the only thing that's gonna happen though, I start when I use that type of wood with a sanding sealer. It is gonna give you a yellow, the white is gonna go yellow.
Yeah.
But, still is gonna look very nice, my opinion.
A sand and steel.
Sanding sealer, yeah, regular Singer sanding sealer. And then anything on top of that, a shellac works good on top of that, or anything works good on top of that, even the spray lacquer, like, that piece that he just used.
But it's pretty much not to screw with it too much.
Well,
I mean, I've done a lot of woodworking over the years, and sometimes I don't have enough sense to know when to stop,
right, well, you're
Sometimes
almost,
it's better to stop before you,
yeah,
ends up,
The imperfections are actually a good thing in this case, because the distortion is, I think, visually appealing.
That's a lot of character.
yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Get one thing,
Right.
something else you
Paul.
could do.
What?
Something else you could do, that will fade even more.
Oh, yeah.
As it gets into UV light. And what I do sometimes with box elder is I take a red alcohol dye with a very fine brush, touch it up, and you won't lose its color in those spots.
Oh, I read alcohol.
Yeah.
Use the alcohol.
Trans tint red, and you dilute it. You don't
Where'd you
never,
get the dye from?
you can get it on
Online.
Online.
Michael's?
Michael's. I don't know if Michael's would sell.
Oh, that's
trans-
a Hobby
Lobby, probably.
Trans tint.
Okay, because you want that red is really good.
Yeah, the red will fade, it'll turn to mucky brown.
It was interesting when I put it, I made that board up, I put it on the dining room table, and next morning my wife said, there's bugs coming out of it.
probably was,
Huh?
probably was.
Yeah, there was little bugs. And she says, well, what are we gonna do with it? I said, oh, don't worry about it, they'll just die
It'll
off.
die.
They'll leave, they'll leave.
Well, that the bugs gave it the character, I said.
They do.
If it wasn't for the bugs, it wouldn't look like this, Bugs get a bad rep, Thank you. We got the camera.
Right right here. Read something old and something new. This is old. This is something I turned 40 years ago. It was a gift I gave my mother from a piece of curly maple.
Wow.
I turned it on an old Craftsman lathe using a glue check. You take a newspaper and put it in between and glue it on. The lid and the bottom come out of the same piece, so they match. If you don't squint too much. But it means a lot to me since it was my mother. She passed away years ago. So that's something old.
So you've been turning wood for a little bit then?
Yeah, a little while. So I live in a house that's almost 100 years old, and we recently had part of the basement renovated, and I had to move an old workbench that I think has been in the house since the house was built. Because there were layers and layers and layers of dirt on this thing. It was just this gray hulk in the basement. And I tore it apart because I didn't have any use for it. And I discovered that the top was made out of oak. Everything else was just pine lumber. So I cut it up and I made a bowl. And I have a whole bunch more of it in my basement. These 3-inch thick by 10 by I think 5-foot boards of wormy oak. So in the vein of bowls that you don't want to put liquids in, the chip bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
That's it.
Is that everybody?
It's cheap. Shaken 40 years.
I think that was everybody. Where'd Jane go?
Take a break.
Take a break, Jane.
Yeah, I get forms. Somewhere in here. Two, three.
Okay.
Got one for the empty bowls.
You can fill the form out.
Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
Where's the bowls go? I'll take them, you'll take them.
Yeah, I got a box of it. I'll bring it in. Well, that's the event.
Oh,
So
I
if you
see.
wanted to go to the event,
Yeah.
if you've never been, the food is amazing. We have probably 40 restaurants.
Yeah, I was reading about it. Yeah.
And the food is great. You also get a ceramic bowl.
Oh, wow.
The hell with the ceramic. But, you know, we've gone 3 years now. This is our 4th year. We'll go down. And you just walk around and get samples from all these restaurants, everything from. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
A friend of mine had
I like the way they finish it.
a friend of mine had to take down that one.
What finish you got on there?
It's just like mineral oil beeswax.
Nice. I spent it. Look, that's my favorite.
There's rum salad, I just shaved, laying down the corner of it. But I have no idea what it is, it's not real heavy. And I'll rent it to you.
So how many you got?
So I was hoping it was gonna be chest. Okay.
That's my fear.
I was not
I
sure.
think this is a favorite.
It's not as much straighter.
Going into the elaborate scheme, if you can draw.
Real straight. It's an old piece of wood.
Yeah, it's an old piece, and there's all this from a broken tree, it's all rough. But it's 3 inches thick.
No.
And,
I think you can just put the guy on, put it just with a red area over the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just a
Here,
little.
let me write it down for you.
But do I apply it to the whole ball?
No, just where you see the red streaks.
Okay. All the outside.
Very fine, thin. and dilute it like in half. So trans tin is really concentrated. So all I could do is, I would take, I do it in drops. So I might take one drop of the trans tin and maybe 10 drops of alcohol.
Okay.
Just, plain old alcohol, you can make low.
Okay.
And then, just drill a circle around.
Let me write it down.
Denatured alcohol?
Yeah, 75, they call it fuel. It's trans,
I like the way it shapes.
Yeah, I think you know what I was doing. I think, enjoyable doing it. I guess I was thinking about like a salad bowl, but then,
I just turned one piece of wood. Grab the one piece of wood, you turn.
yeah, yeah, a lot.
And it was,
I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even have a plan. I've seen, it comes out,
well, I'm making wood chips and fancy killing. That's all.
right, yeah.
That's what I do most.
Right, right. It's just, I'm doing it. Just, yeah, I came out really, I was really lucky with that.
yeah, very fine brush.
I've been trying to pay my dues.
Who's over stuff?
I hope
If you go to Amazon, you get it there.
Oh,
Craft supplies, sells it. All the wood trade stores sell it. And it comes in many colors.
Okay.
They went
So
up, not us.
I even bought some brown, Mission Oak brown. So, I mean, they have all the yellow. But when you use it, put gloves on, because it'll stain your hair. And you think, oh, I'm never gonna get it on me.
Yeah, I know.
It don't work that way.
I think one of the bugs that I was one time. I don't know, but anyway.
Sometimes what I do
You
too,
know.
There's no little holes or anything?
yeah, if the hole is, because you're gonna use this for food.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll take, drops of sand, put it in there and then sand it down. Just to fill in the hole. This hole is.
But I mean,
Spray it. Sand it down. And then
Yep.
Sometimes some of the other guys spray and then sand it again, that'll knock down some of the fibers. And then
Well, not having to do that, I mean.
seal it with something.
Oh, yeah.
Recommend the seal it.
Usually has some shellac in it or something. Mostly
Right.
That's right.
So then after a while, like,
see if you can get that mark out.
It'll come out now.
Yeah.
When we started,
I went to the
all the way up
and they know that, but the thing is, as long as
They let you do that?
That's a good idea.
right, they want you to walk this to the bathroom.
I was in there.
Let's stay ready. You just want it to be shiny.
And I don't use that very often.
Right.
I can't achieve what I do mostly, I go to,
You know, after 10 years now, the only thing I haven't learned is how to you know, I mean, all of these steps. I haven't got to that step yet. Required.
We knew it was funny. With that sort of always comes out beautiful. I always does. It really is.
Quick row, parboil. If I could do that, I'd do I always need to put some type of.
What's the difference between that they both laugh.
Green on the wood.
In fact, I was in the import.
Right.
There was two kinds
Hand burnish them rather than going to the place from.
So anyways.
Oh, it does work. So yeah, that was.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Really? I don't know. Right.
Today.
I'll say.
I've only had the opportunity.
This is what pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't hear about the picture.
As far as their business and so on.
Oh, yeah.
The video on that piece is.
Oh, yeah, right.
I like to do a lot. For the other kinds
I ran quite a bit. 30 years.
Yes, so far.
$800 and he
Those are fun.
That's amazing. He got laid off.
Let's see, then, way the hell up there.
I guess.
There's only 3 of us there. It was fun though.
You want us to sit there?
Standing room only.
Is it really? Yeah.
All right, everybody, just about ready?
Give me a minute.
Not to,
No. Put the cards in the other way.
oh, I thought you said give me a minute.
Put it in the back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not to rush things along, but I want to hit this while I still have gas in my tank. So I'm going to do a couple of things, a lot of tips, not a lot of turning, but more tips and how-tos, that type of thing. If you guys got the newsletter, you'll see in the bottom, editor's picks, I think I put, or something like that. 2 YouTube videos that I highly recommend. John Jordan, I'm sorry, Richard Raffin, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I call him Tom Lisak. They're both from the UK. And the interesting part about both of these guys is they always start off the outside of their piece with a spindle gouge. And I've been turning now about 8 or 9 years. And it wasn't until like the last year that I realized there's more tools than just a bowl gouge. And I thought, really, if you have a 5/8 bowl gouge, why waste your money? You got the best of the best. So I've been doing a little practicing as why these guys are using spindle gouges on the outside, A. And B, they're always using scrapers, outside and inside, which is another thing that I never do. I do scrape, but I'll shear scrape with my masterpiece bowl gouge. So I'm starting to learn their technique a little bit. I'm going to show you what I've learned so far. And what I'm trying to come up with is a comparison of, am I getting a better finish with spindle gouge versus my traditional 5/8 bowl gouge? And then many people using these scrapers, not just these characters, and getting super results. And there's some tricks to sanding that, grinding that scraper to perform super well. So I'm going to go through that as well. So I didn't plan on getting sick for a week and a half, so I didn't have time to practice much. So I had already pre-turned this a little bit just so I could speed things up, and now it's checked out pretty good, but I think it'll be all right. So if you've already twice turned, so lesson number 1, if you're twice turning a bowl, you can no longer mount this. You can no longer mount this in the original chuck. It's not round, okay? And you'll see people use jam chucks of every fashion. I brought a lathe a few years ago. It came with an amazingly expensive set of these vacuum chucks, 3-inch, 5-inch, 8-inch, and 12-inch. I mean, it was money. And they were gifted to me when I bought the lathe.
Nice.
I didn't like the vacuum idea, but boy, when it comes to jam chucking, they're the cat's meow. So jam chucking, basically, you're just holding the bowl up against the piece. I pulled the pin tip. I didn't say that before, but the tip is not in my centerpiece here, because I'm going to leave this foot on the bowl. And all the videos that these guys do, this is a one-time thing. They always leave a foot, which is their tenon, but it's also their foot. So if I had done this the first time, I would have cleaned this up while it was in the chuck. But I can't do that now. That's okay, just to get the point across. So when you're doing a twice turn bowl, the first thing you want to do is get it back to its rotation, perfectly round. So I went with, because this is, I knew I was going to leave this foot on here. I had 4-inch jaws. I'm going to step down to 3-inch jaws so I can put a tenon on that will now fit. You can see how it's no longer round, which is fine. When you're using dividers on this as a measuring device, the opposite side cannot touch the wood. No. Okay. So the dividers are just to give me an idea where's the center of the bowl. Okay, so I now have a mark. That's going to be where my new tenon is going to go. And 2 different spindle gouges or spindle gouge grinds. Your typical fingernail grind, really sharp point. I have long wings. This is more of a fingernail detail style grind on there. And most of what I'm going to do today is the same exact tool. I just kept the flute a little bit more shaped almost like a bow gouge. Still have the long wings, so I can still get into tight spaces, but rather than making this super, super point, gives me a couple of different options. But we have both just for that reason. So first thing I'm gonna do is come to this line and create myself a new tenon with the spindle gouge. As I get into the cut and on that wall, I'm close the flute and I'm dragging the back wing, dragging it out. You can see that, should be able to see that there coming off. So I'll just make this a little flat. Same thing, just a full cut. You can see the type of shavings that it gives you with a spindle gouge versus, you know, a heavy bowl gouge. Now the spindle gouge can be used just like the bowl gouge, either a push cut or a pull cut, and it'll do either or. So we'll make one pass going this way. All I'm trying to do there is just get myself somewhat round, and I can find out where that crack is. If you can see my body position with the tool, how far down the handle is, that's what's giving you this cut. Okay. Now I'm going to do a pull cut because a while ago I had trouble with my eyes, and I think it's from my brain, but I can see the bowl shape better if I'm in this direction and I'm pulling the tool to me. I can focus up here and see exactly how that shape is coming along. I have trouble here seeing it or changing it, but on this direction, two things, I can see it better, and I can really drop this handle way down, and I'll get a beautiful, beautiful cut just with the spindle gouge, I hope. Or at least when I did the directions, I read the directions and said do it like this. So let's see. So handle is way down now, and I'm really more on the wing than the tip, not the whole wing, just leaning into the wing. You should see the tool. Can you see the tool in the TV? I don't know if I can change the lighting at all. Well, let's see what happens. So it goes something like this. Closed, open. So this is now just the open cut right there. Get a little chatter. You can also go the opposite direction. You don't do that. So with the spindle gouge entering the cut, you need to be in that closed flute position to enter the cut. And as I was ever so slightly up, it's just enough that this wing catches, throws you out the backyard. So it's more of that first cut to get your contact, because you don't have bevel support when you're starting this cut. So you need to be closed, and then once you get that, start to make the turn, you can then open the flute as you acquire bevel cut. Again, that was in the direction. I can feel that crack in the vibration. So again, the type of shavings you'll get with a sharp tool. So I do have quite a bit of tear out up here. There's my crack, it's almost gone. So we may be able to get rid of that crack right there. And some of this tear out there. Actually cracked on both sides, so. All right. I'm gonna go a little bit more, see if we can't get rid of the crack. Much better. Get a little bit of tear out there to get rid of. I'm going to leave that there for a moment because we need that for future. I just want to shape the bottom a little bit better. Then we're going to switch over to scraper. Still got that crack in there. It's going to be driving me crazy the whole way, but nothing I can do about that. Much better. That crack's going to stay in there, but that's okay. Before I switch over, I just wanted to, Mike had asked me earlier, and one of the things I would normally do to just scrape this with my bowl gouge, and I am gonna do that just to show you the scraping cut of a bowl gouge. And here's the hair that I got from there, and probably the same, I would hope. So same thing with this bowl gouge. I'm gonna use just this outside wing, freshly sharpened, and I'm gonna pull the scrape a little bit this way, and then this way, depending on, you know, where the tool gets in the way. So if you haven't learned to turn both hands, you should. So again, handle well down. Well, you can get the same result. So this is one of the reasons that I never use scrapers, because if I take enough time, I can get similar or same finish. But for the sake of argument, I'm gonna switch over to scraper.
Before you do that, does a scraping cut involve not riding the bevel?
Not riding the bevel on the scraper. Sometimes you are, sometimes you aren't, depends on the cut.
But I'm talking about with one of the gouges, not the scraper itself.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
When you're doing a scraping cut with the bowl or the
you're
spindle
not
bit.
on the bevel.
Right,
No.
okay.
You're on just you're riding just one of the wings,
Right,
and you're using basically the whole wing,
right.
and your handle is extremely down, because if you were up like this and tilt this thing in any shape or form, you're gonna be seeing stars. Right? If you're gonna share scrape, you need to make sure that, you know, your tool needs to be in your pants, really. And you're either pulling or pushing, it depends. If you raise your handle and just happen to crack this slightly open by mistake, yeah, you'll know. You'll know. The light will go off. It might not come back on, but it'll go off. So two things. I got two different scrapers that I brought with me. And just a Benjamin's Best, this is probably the cheapest scraper you can buy. Round nose for the inside of the bowl. And the gentleman I was talking about earlier, Tom Lasack, I'm going to call him, because I don't know how to tell him his name. This is his signature refiner, as he calls it. This isn't his. This is a copy that I tried to do. So it was a square nose, flat nose. So it's got a small curve on it now, and a notch purposely ground into the side. Yeah, see it? And the purpose of that is so if you're doing a bead or something like this, you can bring that notch right to it and then use this notch in other ways. So he says. I believe him. He's a nice guy. I love his videos. So both these guys use a 45-degree angle. And I was fooling around. One of the things that myself and grinding, we don't get along that well, as Paul will tell you. And it's actually not so much the grinding, it's the angles. And a few months back, you'll see Paul brought in the right angle, I think it is. A masterpiece if you have difficulty like I do. But if you don't have $275 like I do, then I came up with this idea today. I was fooling around. I got here early and I went to the chop saw and I cut 40 and 45 and a 30 and a 35. And a 15 and a 35, right? Cheap way out. So 45 degrees according to the school miter gauge is right about there. Locked in place. Should be damn near 45 degrees. And I know, I say I know, at my house, I believe they're 45. And, all right, so let's throw that idea out the window and go back to the way that I like to do it, which is by eye, because my eyesight is damn near perfect. Can't see a goddamn thing. Close enough for government work at my house. So 45 degrees. Yeah, I would say so.
Rick, an easy way to tell if you're at the right angle when you're doing it, you should see sparks coming off of the very edge of this. Yeah.
Oh, I got the angle that was on it. I don't know if it's 45 or 46. So they both have the same angle on them. At least they're supposed to. This one doesn't. This is the reason you buy long tools. There, right? That's an inside joke. I'll explain it in a little bit.
If I want to, if you have one,
So I have learning to sharpen is a trade all by itself. And I had a beautiful brand new Thompson bow gouge 5/8, what are they, about $100 just for the gouge. And over the course of 3 grinding processes and jig setups and this, that, and the other. So it was about as long as this. And now it is a 2.5 inch stringy. So learning how to do it. So both these guys, and actually I was with Rick Angus at Fine Furnishing, and he showed me this trick as well. So this does have a very nice burr on it for now. And we're gonna take it off. I had so much fun putting it on. And take it off. And this is just 320 sandpaper. Just take it off. Do the same with this one. Hopefully don't drop them on the floor. Take it off. Just like that. Typical burnishing tool, or if you go to Peter's house, he just uses a screwdriver, right? Either way, it's harder than steel, so it'll do it. So basically what we're trying to do is we'll make bevel contact with the tool and then just slightly raise it and pull right across. So a little bevel contact, slightly raise it. And what you're doing is you're just rolling a new burr on there. You should be able to feel it. You don't need to do a lot of this. It really goes quickly. And they tell me you can actually do too much if there is such a thing. If you do too much, you get a catch. So we got a little burr on there.
That gives you a finer burr than doing it straight off the wood.
A little bit more time consuming, but if your results are better, which we're gonna find out in a minute, then it's worth it. So with the scraper, you want to be basically on center. Thereabouts. So the tool basically is on center. You want to lift the handle so you're less than 90 degrees to the wood. If you're 90 degrees to the wood, that's where you're going to have an issue. That's where your catches are coming from. So if you're less than 90 into the wood, we should get these, according to the directions. I read the book twice. The other thing, when I tried scrapers and didn't like them, I never did this burr trick. Second thing I didn't realize is, you don't want to jam this thing in there and go to town. We're not cutting. We're cleaning the piece up. So a very, very light, delicate touch is required to get the performance that these guys are getting. So basically that gets rid of, well, compared to the way I turn, about 99% of the end grain, which I think will sand out. We're going to find that out. But I am going to give it a couple more passes. And just like I was shear scraping with the bowl gouge, you can also hold this tool at approximately 45 degrees off and shear scrape as well, okay? Still got those, as if you watch Tom Thomas act, these lovely whiskers. I love listening to his videos because the language they use is entertaining, in my opinion. So I think, you know, in this particular case, I'm happy with that. And what I'll do or what they do, same thing.
Rick, are you turning at about 18 to 2000?
On that particular run, yes. I don't normally run that high, but this particular thing I did. And they always, for some reason, sand from the top. So that's 180. I don't know why. I always sand from the bottom because that's the direction. But I'm going to do it this way. Here's 180. Not going to go crazy because I can't breathe the sawdust today. How good idea. 220. And then what I found recently is, I go with a regular starch pad, it said 00, I believe. I didn't do the rim, just so you know, I'm just get to the other side. That's all. so there, you'll see the outside finish, as he would say, quite lovely. I don't know if you can see that in the camera or not, but I'll have it up there. You can see, I mean, it's,
When it was on the lathe,
It was-
you could see a reflection of the light.
quite lovely,
Yes.
quite lovely. I forgot my, maybe. See if I can get something. Perfect.
Every use of a screwdriver.
So that's, these are sold at one way, one at a time or in a set, but trust me, the price is scary. Also, I use the same chuck as these guys do, well, as the school does, is what I meant. And these are not dovetail jaws, and that's why I didn't really make that a dovetail, although it kind of looks like one. Whatever, get lucky, I guess. Hopefully I got the right size, and I do not. That could be a problem.
This side of the
There
motor.
it is. I'm sorry. A moment. Perfect.
Just like you intended, right?
Could have made it that way if I measured it. Oh, I did measure it. That's right, so. Okay. Okay. So now, on the inside, we are going to use a bowl gouge. Spindle gouge is definitely not a recommended tool for the inside. So I'm not going to go crazy on there because I'm a little concerned about it, this crack. But I'm going to come down at the same thickness that I'm already at, hollow out some of this bottom, and then we can get the scrapers on the inside. Yeah, she's running about 1800. It's a little over exaggerated, but I did want to leave some very unusual markings in there. maybe a little extreme, but at least we got something to go by. So, Tom and Richard, both of them, they don't clean their bottoms up with their gouge because they have so much faith in these scrapers. And I'm sure you can see in there, I mean, I left a ridge and a half there and quite a bit of, even the tip in the middle is still there. So with the bottom of the bowl, I'm going to use this, what he calls his refiner, and use that to bring the bottom flat. And you can roughly feel that. Come on, get up there. Feel the bottom. Feel the inside bottom. Inside bottom. Well, there's inside bottom.
All right,
Yes. Thank you. Now let's make the other half match that. How's that?
okay.
My point being and this doesn't require sanding, really. It really doesn't. I mean, obviously I'll sand 180, 220, put the grip back on there, but I'm probably gonna do more damage sanding than the beautiful cut I just did. Just so these. Now FYI, I don't normally use scrapers, so the inside scraping I'm not that good at, so we'll learn as we go. So with this round nose, as I come around the corner, I should be continuing the same curve as the tool itself. You can also grind your tools to an inside bowl thing, which you did for me, and I ruined it perfectly. So we'll get back to that. You would say you can see those lovely whiskers coming out, and they actually are. And I'm not going to go crazy with this because I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can hear it. Where that crack is almost all the way through. I certainly don't want to have Paul yell at me again. So there is a little end grain here that is not here because I am getting the tool coming off the bottom, but I'm hitting the panic button here on the rim. I have a knot hole in a crack here and here. So I don't want to play with the outside edge, as when you're turning green wood, obviously this is all flexing now. And you really want to do that first, which I did not because of the demonstration. But the whole idea of this demonstration was to talk about the scrapers and spindle gouges. And I think you'll see that it'll still clean up quite well. Not much stuff to go inside of that top rim. And then I would have used my cold jaws and then redid the outside, but leaving this foot. They do it on a lot of theirs. The other thing I want to mention is all the videos that they do are kiln dried lumber for the most part. And I'm using green mulberry. Although it's started to dry a little bit. See what you think of that finish there, Paul. Not so much the edge, I know the edge is wrong, but the bottom and the curve, you know, the scrapers, which is not something that I would normally use, raising the burr this way versus the burr that I put on there with the grinder was like a heavy, like Paul said, much heavier burr, and a rip more than normal. But I think that's a great tool, and I do believe that the finish on the outside, for the smaller bowls anyway, when I say smaller, less than 12 inches, I'm going to continue to use the spindle gouge on the outside and practice getting these finishes. If the bowl's perfectly finished, you know, once you get it off the lathe, so to speak, you don't have to fool with it as much later. I have a bad habit of, I've got the bowl sold, I haven't got to the inside hollowing yet. So it's just a bad habit. But I am starting to learn now that with the right cuts, I used 180, 220, and I hit it with my burnishing pad. And, you know, a bowl like that, after that, I will go right to Emmett's 2 coats, leave it like that. As soon as it dries, I shouldn't have to put it back on the lathe for resanding at this stage of the game. So that's the whole idea of that, I think. And the test bowls that I've done about 3 or 4 of them so far, and it's worked out quite nicely. And you get that finished with the tools and very, very little sanding, go right to a.
Do you varnish with the shavings?
I know that trick. I've seen it. I don't do it. Is that same as this, so to speak?
It really gives it a.
It's burnishing, right?
It shines it up. Yeah.
Which that's what that's doing. Yeah. Now, again, I turn all green wood, so these tricks or techniques that I use today, like the scrapers, don't work as effectively when the wood is, you know, 70% moisture. You just can't get the best of both worlds. So I'm actually going to consider a little bit of twice turn, which is, you know, like I did today, starting off a little bit differently. But if I can get most of the bowl done, and then after, even if it's 2 or 3 months later, even if it's almost dry, like that piece was not 100% dry, but almost dry, and then put it back on the lathe and twice turn it, which I never do. Do you do any twice turning or no?
I use mostly dry wood.
Oh, so you start off dry anyway, yeah. Yeah. Does anybody else go green, right from green to finish, other than me and Roland?
Not usually.
Not usually, that's fine. Okay. So Roland and I do go, and that's typically the way I'll go, right from a green bowl blank I'll finish it all up with the bowl gouge only. And I'll do a lot of shear scraping. I'll get it as fine as I can, but sanding a super wet bowl is just moving wood around. You're not really doing anything. And then I'll put it back on a lathe and power sand it by hand to clean up whatever I left behind. And then just let it dry. And if you get them less than a half an inch, I find my bowls dry in 3 weeks, depending on the wood. Sometimes a little faster. That ash bowl there dried in. Yeah, I mean it was ready to finish in 2 weeks. Ash dries quick, so some of the winter woods, yeah, it takes a little bit, but everything I turned to date. But you know, this is a technique I saw with these two fellows, and there is a link to them in the newsletter. You can just click on it. It's a live link. You don't have to go search your name or anything. If anybody didn't know that, in the newsletter, if you see a block with a caption, just click on that block. You can pay your dues like that. You can go to Richard Rafton or Tom, or I have several buttons on there that work. And if you guys see a video that you think, you know, you should be in the newsletter, you know, every month, I'll put some extra clips in there, like when Paul had that right angle tool, you know, stuff like that. You know, we want to make sure all the members know where we're finding this stuff. Why are we using it? You know, that happens to be catch me out of platforms. I'll get one someday, good and ready. But you know, we're trying to make. I'm trying to make that newsletter as helpful to the club as possible. You know, and if you have questions in there, my email is on the bottom. If you need to talk to finances with the head guy, his email's on the bottom. You know, as much information as we can get in there, we will. Jane did not mention, because I didn't tell her to mention it, but we are looking for demos for going forward for March and April. I was planning on doing the 40/40 gouge today. Got back ordered after the holidays. They had actually shipped today. So I should have a chance to give it a test run. If nobody's available for March, I'll bring it in. My thought was to bring it in and let people try it. It's a little bit different of a bowl gouge. It's a bowl gouge, just it's not a 40 or 50 degree. I mean a 50 or a 55 degree, it's 40 degrees. So it's much more aggressive. But we'll see. We'll give it a whirl and give everybody a chance to try it if they want and see what the difference is. That's one of Mike Mahoney's signature 40/40s. So, any questions on any of those topics that you can backtrack into? I didn't mean to go so quickly, but I didn't mean to come out of the hospital with pneumonia either. So,
For those that are unaware about the membership cards,
yes,
if you go to Woodcraft,
correct.
you get 10% off any of your purchase if you show the membership card.
As long as it doesn't have an electrical cord attached to it.
The membership card?
They cordless cards.
It's very limited. Woodcraft makes up their rules as they go.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't go there, buy a $4,000 lathe and hope to get $400 off. That ain't happening. But yeah, if you go buy a can of shellac or a small hand tool, yes, they will give you the 10% off. Yeah. I'll make sure I put a link to that. I had a link to that in the newsletter, and I think I took it out when I got to the new format. But at any rate.
Any updates on a new lathe?
So we talked about it at the last meeting. And at the last meeting, we had determined that it would be in our best interest to wait till our CD rolls over. As much as I hate this lathe, and I really do, I think some of it's personal, but a lot of it is it's just underpowered. for the amount of use that we give these lathes, I don't know that we want to go the whole route and switch again. I'm gonna stay in the middle of that conversation because I have a very biased opinion because of the transaction. I mean, today it worked fine, but it was a 6-inch bowl, you know? So it certainly won't do a 12 or 14 with any good luck.
What is the power?
Shitty. It is actually, it's rated at 1.5. I think the guy that rates it is probably 1.5 as well. So
He used to work for Craftsman.
I probably, yeah, there's, you know, and I laughed, I had, so quite a few years ago, I brought the GO 766, which is 24 by 40, 3 horsepower. And I brought that sucker right to its knees. And I said, Jesus, it's gotta be defective. And I called the factory. The guy said, I'm running 1,200 RPMs. I hit it with a bowl gouge at a 1/2-inch cut. I'm down to 600. He said, yeah, well, that's supposed to happen that way.
Wow.
I was like, really? It's trying to teach me how to cut. I don't know. It's, you know, same thing with this. If you glide through the wood, works quite well. But if you go get a cut out of it, it just brings it right to its knees. And I think it's in this style, induction style motor versus what Powermatics or VFR, VRFs or whatever. Totally different.
That's a 3-phase motor on.
It's a 3-phase on the, right, where these things are, I don't know if they have phases.
I can give you a washing machine motor.
Hang on to it, we might need it.
That thing goes.
I mean, I don't know. There's
3,000 RPMs.
There are very mixed reviews on how to get around this situation. But first and foremost, I think when we had talked in December, one of us would have, you know, took some money out of our pockets, paid for it, and waited for reimbursement, which isn't fair to really either one of us. So I think if we hold that thought until, what are we looking for? July. So after the summer break, see how everybody feels at that point. I didn't go into detail because obviously you weren't here, and I know you did most of the legwork finding the Powermatics, so I didn't want to take your place.
The whole reason I brought it up, Rick, is because we have a very large membership today.
Yes.
And it hadn't been part of the conversation last month.
Yes, and just to update what we're talking about for those of you who don't know what we're talking about is we upgraded this lathe a year ago, and it's not what we wanted. The one we wanted got back ordered, we got shafted around, blah, blah, blah. So we ended up with this by default. And as it turned out, it's really not what we're after. So we are looking at the Powermatic 2014, which is 1 inch smaller than this, but the motor is an actual true 175. It's a real motor.
Yeah.
It's a real motor. It might even be, is it 175 or is it 1 horsepower?
I think it's 175.
I think so. Yeah, it sounds like it was. Yeah. Or, well, it's a real motor. It's not one of these baby. I don't even know what they call
It's
it.
a wannabe motor.
Yeah, it's this new version we're going to came up with. This motor's on all their lathes until you get to the next one. If we had got to the next one, but then we would have been another $1,000 over, and you can't move it. It's just too big. Again, in the course of a year, we will put 12 hours on this machine. So that makes the decision a little more complicated. If we got a fair market value for this, it would, it wouldn't be much of a jump to get. It wouldn't be much of a jump at all. Unfortunately, the new Powermatic is going up like silver. Crazy, crazy, crazy.
You sure you don't need a gold?
Not more gold, yeah. When Peter brought his, you got what, 16 or 16?
Yep, 1,600.
Well, now they're
Delivered.
now they're 33. So, and that's only about two years, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Question about phases. Somebody was explaining them to me recently because I had an electrical issue in my building. Now, I've seen lathes that can be either one or two phase, your choice. The explanation I got said you don't want to be in a position where you're choosing the one phase. True or false?
One phase is 110 volts.
Right.
Three phase is your other choice, and that's 220 or 440.
Right.
It's like having three motors in one, it's just that the peaks of the curve of the voltage is staggered, so you have power all the time.
But the Powermatic, the smaller one, does have a three-phase motor on there. It's just a different version. It's not this induction type thing. It's a regular motor. Doesn't have 3 horsepower.
No.
But does have what you're talking about.
My question had to do with, unless I read it wrong, you could buy one machine and you could either hook it up to one phase or more phase. And the thing is, my question is, would you not want to hook it up to one phase? Would you do better off having wire into two or having wiring coming into two phase to get better power?
There is no two phase.
So I was just
Or
going to
three
say,
phase,
Single
whatever.
phase or three phase, and the electric company seriously tries to not put in three phase to a residential location.
No.
They want it in commercial and industrial locations only,
but if
because you
you
have to change the whole service. It's very expensive to switch over
It's a big deal.
from single phase to three phase.
plus if you're going to get a motor with 3-phase like the Powermatic that Paul has,
You
and I
got to
have,
convert.
it's coming in 220, not 110.
Right. Well, I mean, I think my oven was two phase. That's what the discussion was about. No, Ryan?
It's 240. Is it electric?
Yes.
240.
Yeah, that's 240. That's still single phase.
That's
line.
not 2-phase, right?
Yeah.
I'm not
All right.
an electrician.
Then the person who was explaining it to me was misinformed, or I was.
Right, a lot of people don't know what 220 is.
Phase of work. A lot of equipment in the street, because you pull forward and go. You don't want to touch that shit.
No, you wouldn't like the end result.
I've lowered a pump into a well and had a short in it as soon as we threw the breaker on it. Boom, like a candy going off. It's scary.
I've seen on the liquefied copper.
Oh,
can.
Believe that.
I hope that helps.
Yeah.
The
Demonstration.
All right,
Try those breakers.
Yeah, I'll find out some cheap kind of wood for us.
Yeah, if you get a regular breaker, scrape it, grind it at 45 degrees, then flip it over on the lathe, then we sandpaper. You have to have a burner or a screwdriver. Put it right on the bevel and raise it a little bit. Easy, easy.
All right.
Jesus, you know, I swear that 33X off 95 south, that's just, I mean, admittedly, my driving skill, that fucker's dangerous. I cannot imagine.
I can barely get it. I live there. I gotta get on there all the time.
Yeah. I know, well, the last time. Oh, yeah, no, the last time.
Oh, yeah, I can just said about
Shoulder
that.
replacement, this one?
Yeah, I had no problem.
No, I'm not happy. I'm not making any quick decisions. So I think I'm gonna go get one.
Greenwood, I always use my.
Sure.
This is just a different. I've been watching online. I wanted to see how-
Yeah, that's the Jewish.
Rough tree, green, dry.
I'm not recognizing the name, but
And I
I'm.
make it. And I may get to the rough. I never really, I did it in the beginning. I gave up on it quickly. At least I have as soon as
Cool.
All right, I'll check for you.